You've replayed the same thoughts 1,000 times. You overanalyze everything and still feel uncertain. This isn't a guide for perfection. It's a gentle voice helping you finally let go. Keep listening. Let Go of Overthinking, written by Fiona Whitaker. Audiobook by ReadRealm. Introduction. The Prison of Overthinking. Have you ever found yourself replaying a conversation from earlier in the day, dissecting every word, wondering if you said something wrong? Or lying in bed at night, wide awake, with your mind spinning in a loop of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios? If so, you're not alone. Overthinking is one of the most common, yet silent, struggles in our modern world. It's the mental habit of going over thoughts, situations, and decisions again and again, without ever reaching peace or resolution. Psychologically, overthinking is rooted in our brain's natural desire to protect us. The human mind is wired to anticipate danger and plan ahead. But what once served our survival has now turned into a self-made prison where we mistake excessive thinking for preparation, control, or problem solving. In reality, it often paralyzes us. We become stuck in our heads, consumed by worry, fear, and doubt. Overthinking affects nearly every area of our lives. It robs us of restful sleep, makes decision-making feel overwhelming, and damages our confidence. It can even strain our relationships when we assume the worst, misinterpret silence, or read between lines that were never written. In a world that praises productivity and perfection, we silently spiral, believing that if we just think hard enough, we'll finally feel okay. I remember a time in my own life when I spent weeks agonizing over a simple career decision. I made pros and cons lists, asked everyone for their opinion, and played out dozens of imaginary outcomes. But no matter how much I analyzed, I didn't feel any closer to clarity, only more confused and exhausted. The truth was, I wasn't gathering insight. I was trying to guarantee the perfect outcome. And in doing so, I missed weeks of peace, presence, and joy. That moment was a turning point. I realized that letting go of overthinking doesn't mean giving up on thinking altogether. It means loosening the grip of fear, learning to trust ourselves, and making space for clarity, not just mental noise. That's what this book is about. Let Go of Overthinking is your guide to quieting the mental chatter, breaking free from analysis, paralysis, and reclaiming your focus and peace of mind. We'll explore the psychology behind overthinking, uncover its hidden costs, and learn how to gently interrupt it when it strikes. Through tools, stories, and science-backed techniques, this book will help you move from overthinking to intentional thinking. You'll learn how to recognize your thought spirals, manage uncertainty, make decisions with confidence, and cultivate calm without needing everything to be perfect or predictable. This isn't about becoming thoughtless. It's about becoming mindful, present, free. So if you're tired of living inside your own head, questioning every step, and carrying the weight of constant mental noise, you're in the right place. Let's begin the journey of letting go. Chapter 1. What is overthinking? Overthinking is a mental habit that almost all of us fall into from time to time. It's that constant replaying of thoughts, conversations, or situations, overanalyzing every little detail until we feel mentally exhausted, yet still find no resolution. But what exactly is overthinking, and how does it differ from healthy reflection? At its core, overthinking is the act of thinking too much, repetitively and excessively, about something, often without gaining any productive insight. It's a cycle that leads nowhere, where thoughts spin around and around, getting stuck in the same mental loop. It's not about problem solving or finding solutions. It's about getting caught in a cycle that increases anxiety and stress without moving you forward. On the other hand, healthy reflection is productive and purposeful. It involves thinking through experiences, processing emotions, and learning from them in a constructive way. Healthy reflection can bring clarity, growth, and new perspectives. Overthinking, however, is more like running on a treadmill. It might feel like you're making progress, but you're just burning energy without going anywhere. Common signs of overthinking. 1. Rumination. This is when you continuously replay a past event or conversation in your mind, often questioning what you did wrong or how you could have done things differently. It's a mental cycle that rarely leads to any new insight. Instead, it keeps you stuck in the past. 2. Mental loops. Overthinking often manifests as looping thoughts, where you can't seem to escape the same train of thought. Maybe you're replaying a conversation you had earlier, wondering if you said the right thing, or you're constantly analyzing the same problem from every angle, but never finding a solution. 3. Regret. Overthinking is often fueled by regret. You might find yourself dwelling on past mistakes, wishing you had made different choices, or worrying about the consequences of your decisions. The more you think about it, the more you feel stuck in those feelings of shame or guilt. 4. Worst case scenario thinking. This is the mental habit of always imagining the worst possible outcome. You might fear that things will go horribly wrong, even when there's no solid reason to believe that. Overthinking amplifies these worries and makes them seem more realistic than they actually are. The brain's wiring for survival. The human brain is wired for survival. It's designed to keep us safe by constantly scanning for potential threats. This evolutionary feature was critical for our ancestors, who needed to anticipate dangers in their environment, whether that be an approaching predator or a dangerous weather change. Overthinking can be seen as an extension of this survival instinct, where the brain gets stuck in danger mode by anticipating problems and worst-case scenarios, even in situations that aren't life-threatening. When overthinking, the brain is on high alert. The amygdala, which is responsible for processing emotions like fear, becomes activated, signaling a sense of danger. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which helps with reasoning and decision-making, struggles to make clear, rational judgments due to the overwhelming flood of thoughts and emotions. This creates a vicious cycle of anxiety, where the brain can't distinguish between real and perceived threats, leading to overthinking. The thinking, feeling, action loop. Overthinking doesn't just affect the mind, it impacts our emotions and behaviors too. The thinking, feeling, action loop is a cycle where your thoughts influence your feelings, and those feelings, in turn, affect your actions or lack of them. Thoughts. You think about a situation, maybe a conversation or a decision, and start analyzing it. Feelings. These thoughts trigger emotions: anxiety, fear, regret, or doubt. Actions. The feelings drive your actions, often leading to avoidance, indecision, or trying to over-control the situation. For example, imagine you're preparing for a job interview. You start thinking, what if I mess up? This thought triggers anxiety, making you feel nervous. As a result, you might avoid preparing for the interview properly, second-guess your answers, or even cancel altogether. Overthinking leads to inaction, and that just perpetuates the cycle. The emotional toll of overthinking. Overthinking comes with a heavy emotional toll. It drains your mental and emotional energy, leaving you feeling fatigued and overwhelmed. Anxiety is often the first emotion that arises, as the constant flow of thoughts heightens your stress levels. Over time, this can lead to paralysis, where you feel incapable of making decisions or taking any action. The longer this cycle continues, the harder it becomes to break free. Additionally, mental fatigue is a common byproduct of overthinking. Your brain uses a lot of energy when it's constantly processing thoughts, and the longer you stay in that state, the more exhausted you become. You might feel mentally drained, disconnected, and unable to focus on anything else. In severe cases, this can lead to burnout or depression, as overthinking keeps you trapped in a negative loop of stress and worry. Overthinking is a heavy burden to carry, but the good news is that it's not permanent. By understanding its roots, signs, and the cycle it creates, you can begin the process of breaking free and learning to manage your thoughts more effectively. Chapter 2. The Psychology Behind Overthinking. To truly let go of overthinking, we need to understand what's fueling it beneath the surface. Overthinking doesn't just happen randomly. It's often triggered by deeper emotional patterns like fear, perfectionism, and low self-worth. These aren't just personality quirks. They're often rooted in our psychology, shaped by our brains and our past experiences. Let's start with fear. At the heart of overthinking is usually a fear of what might go wrong. Fear of failure, rejection, embarrassment, or making the wrong decision. Our brains try to protect us by overanalyzing every possibility, believing that if we just think hard enough, we can prevent bad things from happening. But instead of feeling prepared, we end up feeling paralyzed. Then there's perfectionism. The belief that everything has to be just right. For perfectionists, decisions carry more weight. There's little room for error. That pressure leads to overthinking because the stakes feel impossibly high. One small mistake and the whole plan feels ruined. This mindset turns everyday choices into stressful mental marathons. Low self-worth also plays a powerful role. When we don't fully trust ourselves, we question every thought and second-guess every move. We may obsess over how others perceive. Assume we've done something wrong, or avoid action altogether out of fear that we'll mess up. Overthinking becomes a way to prove our worth, but it only reinforces the idea that we're not enough as we are. Psychologists call the patterns behind these tendencies cognitive distortions, ways our minds twist reality without us realizing it. Here are 3 common ones linked to overthinking. Catastrophizing, imagining the worst possible outcome. You miss a call from your boss and convince yourself you're about to be fired. Black and white thinking, seeing things in extremes. It's either a total success or a complete failure, leaving no room for nuance or progress. Mind reading, assuming you know what others are thinking, often believing it's negative. She hasn't replied, so she must be mad at me. These distorted thoughts often go unchecked, feeding the overthinking loop until it feels like the truth. There's also a biological side to this. Our prefrontal cortex, the logical, decision-making part of the brain, tries to help us weigh pros and cons. But when we're anxious or overwhelmed, the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system, kicks in. It doesn't care about logic. It just wants to protect us. The amygdala floods our system with fear responses, making it harder for the prefrontal cortex to do its job. That's why even small decisions can feel so emotionally intense during moments of overthinking. Finally, we can't ignore the role of upbringing and trauma. If you grew up in a critical or unpredictable environment, your brain may have learned to scan constantly for danger, emotional or physical. You may have been taught, directly or indirectly, that mistakes aren't safe or that love is conditional. These early experiences shape our thought patterns deeply, often leading to overthinking as a coping mechanism. Understanding all of this is not about blaming ourselves or our past. It's about compassion and awareness. When we know where our overthinking comes from, we can begin to soften its grip and respond with clarity, not fear. Chapter 3. The Hidden Costs of Overthinking. Overthinking often feels like just a mental habit, something harmless we do when we're worried or stressed. But beneath the surface, it quietly steals so much from our lives. When left unchecked, overthinking comes with real costs that affect our time, relationships, health, and emotional well-being. First and foremost, overthinking steals our most precious resource, time. Hours slip by as we get caught in endless loops of what if, And maybe I should. We mull over decisions big and small until the moment has passed or we're too exhausted to act. This mental spinning leaves us stuck, unable to move forward because we're paralyzed by indecision. What could have been a simple choice becomes a heavy weight that slows us down in life. Our relationships also suffer in subtle but powerful ways. Overthinking tends to breed assumptions about what others are thinking, feeling, or intending. Maybe you interpret a friend's delayed text as rejection, or you replay a conversation and convince yourself you said something wrong. These misinterpretations create unnecessary distance, misunderstandings, and even conflict. Instead of communicating openly, overthinking pulls us into silence or defensiveness. It builds walls where connection should be. Then there's the toll on our health. When our minds won't stop racing, restful sleep becomes elusive. Insomnia creeps in as we lie awake, caught in mental loops. Overthinking can also trigger physical symptoms like headaches, muscle tension, and chronic fatigue. The constant stress response activates our nervous system in a way it's never meant to sustain long term. Over time, this wears down our body as much as it does our mind. Perhaps one of the most frustrating consequences of overthinking is the missed opportunities. Analysis paralysis keeps us from taking risks, trying new things, or saying yes to possibilities that could bring growth and joy. We hesitate, waiting for the perfect moment or for every question to be answered, but that moment rarely arrives. The fear of making the wrong choice holds us back, even when the upside could be great. And all of this leads to emotional exhaustion, a deep burnout that feels like mental and emotional depletion. When your brain is constantly working overtime, you feel drained, irritable, and disconnected from yourself. Joy feels harder to find, and motivation slips away. Overthinking becomes a cycle of stress that feeds on itself, making it difficult to break free. Recognizing these hidden costs is a powerful first step. Overthinking isn't just an annoying habit. It's a habit with consequences that ripple through every corner of your life. But here's the hopeful truth. The same awareness that reveals these costs can also guide you toward change. When you understand what's at stake, you become more motivated to step off the treadmill of endless thinking and reclaim your time, your health, and your peace. In the chapters ahead, we'll explore practical ways to break free from overthinkings, grip, and rebuild a life where your mind serves you, not the other way around. Because when you let go of overthinking, you don't just stop worrying, you start truly living. Chapter 4. Awareness is the first step. The first step to letting go of overthinking is simply noticing it. That sounds simple, but many of us get caught in our thoughts so automatically that we don't realize when our minds have slipped into overdrive. This is where mindfulness becomes a powerful tool, a way to bring gentle, non-judgmental awareness to the present moment. Mindfulness isn't about stopping thoughts altogether. It's about observing them as they arise, like watching clouds pass across the sky. When you start noticing your thought patterns, especially when they loop or spiral, you give yourself the chance to interrupt them before they take over. This awareness creates space between you and your thoughts, which is the first step to freedom. One simple and effective way to begin this is the name to tame it method. When you catch yourself caught in overthinking, pause and quietly say to yourself what's happening. For example, I am worrying, or I am stuck in a loop. Naming the experience takes power away from the thoughts and reminds you that these are just mental events, not facts you must believe or act on. Journaling can also help deepen this awareness. Here are 2 prompts to get started. What am I worried about right now? Writing this down pulls your worries out of your head and onto paper, making them easier to examine. What's the worst that could happen? And then what? This question helps you face your fears and see what truly might come of your worries, often revealing they are not as overwhelming as your mind imagines. It's also important to learn what triggers your overthinking. For many, it's stress. Whether from work, family, or finances, that sets off mental spirals. For others, social pressure or the fear of judgment causes them to replay conversations or decisions endlessly. Sometimes it's the quiet of solitude itself that allows overthinking to sneak in. As the mind fills the silence with worries. By becoming more aware of when and why your thoughts tend to run wild, you can start to catch yourself earlier and choose a different path. Awareness is your mental muscle. It grows stronger with practice and gives you the power to step off the treadmill of overthinking. In the next chapter, we'll explore concrete strategies to interrupt those spirals in the moment and bring your mind back to calm and clarity. Chapter 5. Break the Loop. Interrupting overthinking in real time. Once you become aware of your overthinking, the next crucial step is learning how to break the loop when it happens. Overthinking feeds on itself. It's a cycle of thought leading to feeling, leading to more thought. Interrupting that spiral in real time is key to regaining control of your mind and finding peace. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to do this is through physical movement. When your mind is trapped in a mental loop, moving your body can help shift your brain's focus. Go for a brisk walk, stretch, or do a few jumping jacks. Movement activates different parts of your brain and floods your system with fresh oxygen, helping break the cycle of repetitive thinking. Breathwork is another powerful tool. Focusing on your breath grounds you in the present moment and calms the nervous system. Two accessible techniques you can try are box breathing and the 4-7-8 breath. Box breathing involves inhaling for 4 seconds, holding your breath for 4 seconds, exhaling for 4 seconds, and then holding again for 4 seconds. Repeat this cycle a few times to slow down racing thoughts. The 4-7-8 breath means inhaling quietly through your nose for 4 seconds, holding the breath for 7 seconds, and exhaling fully through your mouth for 8 seconds. This technique helps reduce anxiety and brings immediate calm. Sometimes, simply changing your environment can interrupt overthinking. Step outside, go to a different room, or even just look out a window. A new setting provides fresh sensory input, helping your brain reset from the cycle of worry. Mel Robbins' 5-second rule is another excellent strategy worth mentioning. She popularized this simple but effective tool. When you notice yourself slipping into overthinking, count down from 5 to 1 and then physically move or take action. This countdown interrupts your brain's autopilot and shifts your momentum away from spiraling thoughts. Whether it's standing up, making a phone call, or writing down a plan, the key is moving before your mind can argue you out of it. Grounding techniques can also be very effective in stopping overthinking. One popular method is the 5-4-3-2-1 exercise, which uses your 5 senses to bring you back to the present. Here's how it works. Name 5 things you can see right now. Notice 4 things you can touch. Listen for 3 things you can hear. Identify 2 things you can smell. Focus on 1 thing you can taste. This sensory checklist pulls you out of your head and reconnects you with the here and now. When your mind is racing, you can also try thought-stopping techniques. When you catch yourself spiraling, say, "Stop," aloud or silently, as if hitting a mental pause button. Some find it helpful to visualize a stop sign or a red light. After stopping the thought, replace it with a positive affirmation, like, "I am safe. This thought is not helping me. I choose calm." These affirmations remind your brain that it doesn't need to stay stuck in fear or worry. Remember, these tools are like muscles. The more you practice interrupting your overthinking, the easier it becomes. At first, the mental loop might resist, but with patience and persistence, you'll gain control over your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. Chapter 6. Rewriting the narrative. Overthinking often feeds on the stories we tell ourselves, the negative, irrational beliefs that keep us stuck in fear and doubt. If you want to truly let go of overthinking, you need to learn how to rewrite your mental narrative. This means challenging the unhelpful thoughts and replacing them with kinder, more realistic ones. One of the most effective ways to do this comes from cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT. CBT helps us spot and question the irrational beliefs, fueling our anxiety and rumination. For example, you might catch yourself thinking, if I make a mistake, I'm a failure. That's an all-or-nothing belief, and it's simply not true. The first step is to identify these kinds of thoughts as just that, thoughts, not facts. Next, try reframing those thoughts. Reframing means looking at the same situation from a different, more helpful angle. For instance, instead of asking, what if I fail? Reframe it as, what if I learn? Suddenly, the fear of failure becomes an opportunity for growth. Instead of paralyzing you, the thought invites curiosity and courage. Another example, I'm not good enough, can become, I'm doing my best, and that's enough for now. Reframing is like giving your mind a gentle nudge toward compassion and possibility. Visualization is another powerful way to build new mental stories. Spend a few quiet moments imagining yourself facing a situation that usually triggers overthinking. But this time, picture yourself handling it with confidence and calm. See yourself making decisions, letting go of worry, and feeling peaceful. The more vividly you imagine these positive outcomes, the more your brain begins to accept them as possible. Visualization rewires your internal dialogue and trains your mind to expect success, not struggle. The way you talk to yourself matters deeply. Imagine how you would speak to a close friend who is overwhelmed by their thoughts. You'd probably be gentle, patient, and encouraging. Now try to give yourself that same kindness. When the inner critic shows up, pause and ask, would I say this to someone I love? If not, try saying something more supportive instead. For example, swap I'm such an idiot for feeling this way with it's okay to feel overwhelmed. I'm here for myself. This shift in self-talk can soften anxiety and break the cycle of overthinking. Rewriting your narrative isn't about pretending everything is perfect or forcing positive thinking. It's about becoming your own ally, questioning the stories that don't serve you, and choosing ones that help you grow, heal, and move forward. In the coming chapters, we'll explore how to embrace uncertainty and make decisions with more ease. But for now, start listening to the story you're telling yourself. Is it helping you? If not, give yourself permission to rewrite it. One thought at a time. Chapter 7. Make peace with uncertainty. At its core, overthinking is often about one thing: control. When our minds spiral, it's usually because we're desperate to predict, prepare for, or prevent something uncertain. We want to know exactly what will happen, how others will react, or what the right decision is. But here's the truth. Life is inherently uncertain, and trying to control every outcome is a recipe for endless mental struggle. Letting go of overthinking means learning to make peace with uncertainty. This doesn't come naturally to most of us because our brains crave certainty. But peace comes when we strengthen a mental muscle called acceptance. The ability to sit with, I don't know, without panic or resistance. Acceptance isn't about giving up or resigning yourself to fate. It's about acknowledging reality as it is, rather than how you wish it would be. It's a radical shift from fighting the unknown to allowing it space. This is known as radical acceptance, a practice that invites you to stop battling uncertainty and instead meet it with curiosity and calm. Try this. The next time you feel overwhelmed by uncertainty, pause and silently say, I don't know what will happen next, and that's okay. Notice what happens inside you. You might feel discomfort or fear at first. That's natural. But over time, by gently sitting with that discomfort instead of running from it, you build tolerance for the unknown. You become less reactive and more resilient. Along with acceptance, there's an important mindset shift around intention. You can still set goals and make plans without clinging tightly to the outcome. Setting intention without attachment means focusing on what you can control, your effort, your attitude, your choices, while allowing life to unfold naturally. For example, instead of saying, "I must get this job or I'll fail," try, "I intend to do my best in this interview and trust whatever happens." This subtle but powerful shift eases the pressure and quiets the overthinking mind. It frees you to act with clarity and presence, rather than anxiety and doubt. Making peace with uncertainty is a journey. It requires patience and practice, but it's one of the most freeing things you can do for your mental well-being. Remember, uncertainty is a universal part of life. We all face it. The difference is learning to lean into it rather than fight it. When you build acceptance and let go of control, your mind stops racing to predict and fix every outcome. Instead, you create space for calm, creativity, and clarity. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to make decisions with more ease, using these tools to step confidently forward, even when the future is unclear. But for now, try this. Embrace the unknown as a friend, not a threat. It's the first step toward real freedom from overthinking. Chapter 11. Build a lifestyle that prevents overthinking. Letting go of overthinking isn't just about changing your thoughts in the moment. It's about building a lifestyle that supports mental clarity and calm over the long term. The way you eat, move, sleep, and structure your day all play a role in how much mental noise you carry. When you nurture your body and mind, overthinking naturally loses its grip. First, consider the physiological triad that deeply impacts your mental state: nutrition, exercise, and sleep. These three pillars form the foundation of clear thinking. What you eat affects your brain chemistry. Nutrient-rich foods, think colorful vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats, and lean proteins, fuel your brain and help regulate mood and focus. On the flip side, excessive sugar, caffeine, and processed foods can trigger anxiety and restless thoughts. Exercise is a proven antidote to overthinking. Physical activity releases endorphins, our body's natural mood boosters, and reduces stress hormones like cortisol. It doesn't have to be intense. Even a daily walk or gentle yoga can shift your nervous system from fight or flight into relaxation. Is often the most overlooked factor. When you don't get enough restful sleep, your brain struggles to process emotions and manage stress, leaving you vulnerable to spiraling thoughts. Prioritize consistent sleep habits. Wind down without screens, create a calming bedtime routine, and aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality rest. Beyond the physical, setting healthy boundaries with your time and energy is crucial. Overthinking often feeds on exhaustion and overwhelm. Saying no when you need to, limiting commitments, and carving out space for yourself protects your mental bandwidth. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're self-care. Practicing solitude without mental noise is another powerful lifestyle. Habit. Solitude doesn't mean loneliness. It means spending quiet time alone without distractions, allowing your mind to rest rather than run wild. This might be a morning coffee without your phone, a few minutes of meditation, or a walk in nature. Regular solitude cultivates presence and breaks the habit of constant mental chatter. One helpful technique to contain worry is called the worry window. Rather than letting anxious thoughts invade your entire day, schedule a specific 10-minute block to intentionally focus on your worries. During this time, allow yourself to think about your concerns fully. Write them down if it helps. When the timer ends, gently close that mental window and shift your attention elsewhere. This practice trains your brain to limit rumination. instead of letting it spill endlessly. You might wonder how people who don't overthink much manage it day to day. Many follow consistent routines that balance productivity and rest. They start the day with mindfulness or gentle movement, eat nourishing meals, set clear work and rest times, and unplug from technology regularly. They prioritize sleep and practice gratitude or journaling to keep their minds grounded. Building this kind of lifestyle doesn't mean a complete overhaul overnight. Start small by adding one healthy habit each week. Maybe it's a 10-minute walk after lunch or turning off devices an hour before bed. Gradually, these changes add up and create a mental environment where overthinking has less room to grow. Remember, your mind and body are deeply connected. When you care for your body with good nutrition, movement, and rest, you support your mind's ability to be clear and calm. When you protect your time and energy with boundaries and intentional solitude, you create space for peace instead of noise. Chapter 12. Let go of the need to be liked. One of the quiet engines behind overthinking is the deep desire to be liked, to earn approval, and avoid conflict or rejection. When we constantly worry about how others perceive us, our minds spin endlessly, trying to predict reactions and craft the perfect response. This kind of people-pleasing fuels the cycle of overthinking and drains our energy. To break free, you need to build your sense of self-worth on something more stable than external validation. Your value isn't tied to likes, compliments, or how many people agree with you. Instead, true self-worth grows from living in alignment with your values, the principles and qualities that matter most to you. When you act from authenticity rather than approval, your mind finds rest. Try these journaling prompts to explore this shift. What do I really want to say? Write honestly without censoring yourself. What feelings or opinions have you been holding back to avoid displeasing others? Bringing these to light helps you reconnect with your authentic voice. What matters more, approval or authenticity? Reflect on moments when seeking approval cost you peace or self-respect. What might change if you chose to prioritize being true to yourself instead? Remember, letting go of the need to be liked doesn't mean becoming rude or dismissive. It means honoring your own truth, setting healthy boundaries, and accepting that not everyone will agree with you. And that's okay. As you strengthen your inner foundation, overthinking about others' opinions will lose its grip. Your mind can relax when you stop trying to control perceptions and start living for yourself. Chapter 13. Cultivate a calm mindset. Cultivating a calm mindset is one of the most effective ways to reduce overthinking. It's not about silencing every thought. That's impossible. But about creating steady habits that gently guide your mind toward peace. The good news? Small, consistent daily practices can make a huge difference over time. One simple but powerful practice is gratitude journaling. Each day, take a few minutes to write down 3 things you're grateful for. This shifts your focus from what's worrying you to what's working well. Gratitude trains your brain to notice positivity and calm instead of spinning into negativity. Meditation is another cornerstone of calm. If you're new to meditation, apps like Headspace and Calm offer guided sessions that fit easily into any schedule. Even just 5 minutes a day can help you observe your thoughts without getting caught up in them. Building a habit of mindful presence. Breathwork rituals are another accessible tool. Deep, intentional breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system, which counters stress and anxiety. Practices like box breathing or simple slow inhales and exhales can be done anytime you feel your mind racing. The key to lasting change is small, consistent shifts. You don't need to overhaul your entire routine overnight. Maybe it's 5 minutes of meditation in the morning or journaling before bed. These tiny habits accumulate, rewiring your brain for calm and clarity over weeks and months. A calm mindset also comes from developing non-reactivity the ability to pause and choose your response, rather than reacting impulsively to every thought or emotion. When you practice non-reactivity, you create space between stimulus and response. This space allows you to respond with intention, not anxiety. By weaving these daily practices into your life, you build resilience against overthinking and foster a grounded, peaceful mind. Remember, calm is a practice, not a perfect state. With patience and kindness toward yourself, you can cultivate a mindset that carries you gently through life's ups and downs. Chapter 14. Reclaim your mental energy. Our mental energy is one of our most valuable resources, yet overthinking can drain it faster than we realize. To live with clarity and calm, it's essential to reclaim your mental energy by managing where it goes. This is the idea behind mental budgeting. Think of your brain like a bank account. Each day, you get a limited amount of mental energy to spend. The question is, how are you using it? Are you investing it in meaningful decisions and positive thoughts, or spending it on worry, doubt, and trivial concerns? One of the first steps is to remove time-suck thoughts, those repetitive worries that don't serve you but keep taking up space. When you notice these unproductive thoughts, acknowledge them, then consciously let them go. Imagine mentally cashing out that energy and redirecting it elsewhere. Another strategy is to batch your decisions. Making decisions one after another can exhaust your mental resources, a phenomenon called decision fatigue. Group similar decisions together, like planning your meals for the week all at once, or setting specific times to answer emails. This frees up energy for the bigger, more important choices in your life. Learning to say no with confidence is also crucial in protecting your mental budget. Every yes costs mental energy, especially when it's out of obligation or fear of disappointing others. Saying no doesn't make you selfish. It's a way to honor your limits and focus on what truly matters. Practice polite but firm ways to decline requests, so you can guard your mental space. By actively managing your mental energy, you stop letting overthinking hijack your day. You create room for creativity, joy, and focused action instead of endless worry and distraction. Reclaiming your mental energy is about being intentional, not reactive. As you become more aware of how you spend your thoughts, you'll find more peace and power in each moment. Chapter 15. When overthinking comes back, let's be honest. Letting go of overthinking isn't a one-and-done deal. Even after making progress, there will be times when those old thought patterns sneak back in, and that's okay. Setbacks are a normal part of the journey. Everyone, no matter how mindful or grounded, sometimes falls into the spiral again. The key is not to panic or judge yourself harshly when it happens. Instead, treat it as a gentle signal, a reminder that your mind needs some extra care and attention right now. Having a relapse plan can make all the difference when overthinking returns. Here's a simple 3-step approach to get you back on track. 1. Awareness. Catch yourself early. Notice when your thoughts start looping or when anxiety rises. Naming the experience helps pull you out of autopilot. 2. Intervention. Use your favorite tools, whether it's a grounding exercise, breath work, or saying a mantra, to interrupt the spiral. 3. Refocus. Shift your attention to something constructive. It might be a small task, a walk, or journaling. The goal is to break the cycle and regain calm. Mantras are especially helpful in these moments because they remind you of the bigger picture. Try these simple ones when you feel caught. This is just a thought, not the truth. This reminds you that your mind can create stories that aren't facts. Thoughts aren't commands. You don't have to follow them blindly. I've been here before. I know the way out. This one taps into your experience and resilience. You've overcome overthinking before, and you can do it again. Remember, Growth isn't linear. Like any skill, managing overthinking takes practice and patience. Each time you catch yourself and gently bring your mind back, you're strengthening your mental muscles. Setbacks don't erase progress. They deepen its dots, so when overthinking comes back, welcome it with kindness. Lean into your tools and trust that you're building a lasting cycle of growth. This is part of the process, and you're exactly where you need to be. Conclusion: freedom beyond thought. Letting go of overthinking is a journey that begins with a few key shifts. Becoming aware of your thought patterns, learning to interrupt the spirals before they take over, and then redirecting your mind toward calm and clarity. These steps are not just techniques, they are pathways to a deeper sense of peace within yourself. Imagine a life where your mind feels calm, focused, and fully present, where thoughts come and go like clouds rather than storms. This is the freedom beyond thought, the place where you can meet each moment with clarity instead of confusion, and confidence instead of doubt. Remember, change takes time. Be patient with yourself and celebrate the small wins along the way. The moments when you pause instead of plunge, when you choose action over hesitation, or when you find a quiet space amid the mental noise. Each of these is progress. You don't need to be perfect, and you don't need to control everything. What you can choose every day is peace over perfection, clarity over control. This simple choice rewires your relationship with your mind and opens the door to a more joyful, free way of living. So as you close this book, take a deep breath and know this: you already have everything you need to let go of overthinking. The tools are within you, and the power to change is yours. Choose peace, choose clarity, choose to live fully in the present. Your journey toward mental freedom starts now. Thanks for joining us in Read Realm, where every book finds a voice. If you enjoyed this audiobook, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a new upload. Got a book in mind? Drop it in the comments. You're next. Favorite listen could be our next upload. Until then, keep your mind open and your headphones on.